What's up, and welcome back to Talk Nutrition. Today is another episode from the van. Like I said in the last episode, I was going to do another episode on this very same drive on my way home, and I just broke down. So get this. It is currently Wednesday. I bought this van on Friday. So less than a week. You gotta love it when life throws you curveballs, you know? I actually have no idea what it is. So I was driving. All of a sudden, this like ticking sound, just started going crazy kind of. Drove a little bit further. It just wouldn't stop. It seemed to be related to me accelerating and letting go. I noticed the ticking went less. But I knew there was going to be a gas station like a couple minutes, So, I kept driving, fingers crossed. I'm like, I just want to get to that gas station as long as I can get there. Check the oil, those kind of things, right? Just as I'm about to kind of like start turning towards where the gas station is, the acceleration kind of like started to become very jumpy, And then I swear, like I pull up to the actual gas station, and it just stops in the middle of the parking lot. Like, car doesn't start anymore. So yeah, that's where I'm currently at. When life throws you curveballs, I don't know if this is a bad issue, if it's going to be an easy fix, but it's a reality, right? I'm going to have to figure it out. I'm going to have to deal with it. Am I pissed off? Yeah, absolutely. Do I get these current feelings of, this is unfair, I just bought the van, 4 days ago. Why does this happen to me? And those kind of things, right? Do those thoughts show up? Yes, they have already, right? All these thoughts, they run through your mind, right? They race through your mind. It's, I just got a car loan, blah, blah, blah. And you start thinking about all the problems, right? And you almost make the situation worse by, almost like freaking out over it. Let's call it that. But when these kind of situations happen, because that's why I'm even just doing a podcast about this, right? This literally happened like 5 minutes ago. And I know road assistant is, on his way. He said it's going to be an hour. So, hey, I'm going to make the best of it. I'm going to talk to you here. Calm, right? I'm going to, kill my time by doing a little podcast. But I wanted to either way talk to you about this stuff. Or something similar at least. When stuff like this happens, like what are you going to do? Are you just going to give up on yourself? I think we need to be very real with ourselves. And of course, car breaking down, your health, it's a different story, right? Your health is way more important. But I see this all the time, and you've heard this analogy before, and you've heard me talk about it, but it's like something happens, right? You have your flat tire. Honestly, getting kind of sick of that analogy, but I'm going to still bring it up because it does drive the point home, right? You get a flat tire. What do? Do you try to stay calm, figure it out, get it fixed, maybe fix it yourself, control the situation? Or are you going to make it worse by kicking the car, yelling at the car, why me, blah, 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 right? And you're going to stab all 3 other tires. No, you don't do that. Of course you don't. Yeah, that's exactly what you do with your nutrition. If you think that overeating for one meal is a reason to just give up for the rest of the week. If you think that you need to undereat the next day to make up for all the extra calories you consumed, or do more cardio, right? Punishing yourself. Or completely just letting go. Well, I'll just try again. Hey, it's Wednesday now. Fuck it. I'll just try again on Monday. I might as well just not do anything anymore the rest of the week. And when I talk about it too, in this way, like, you of course notice, like, it doesn't make sense to kind of think that way. But I do want you to know that we are all human and that we're going to have these kind of feelings. We're going to be pissed off. We're going to be sad. We're going to be whatever, overwhelmed, stressed, whatever you want to call it, fatigue, Those emotions and feelings that usually lead to you falling off or giving up or whatever it may be, those are going to be there. I want you to know this. All of this mindset work, right? it's not about not having those feelings. It's not about not having those thoughts. You're likely going to have the initial thought. You're likely going to have the initial whatever. Like, it depends on the situation, right? Guilt, stress, sadness, angriness, right? Like I just shared with you. Like, in the moment, the things that go through my mind, why me, right? I just got this car loan. I just did my first trip with this van. I've been going around the coast a little bit, in our area, but no more than like 10-minute drives, maybe 15. Stay close to the city because I wanted to still, I had to move some of my stuff. And, I've been trying to think, how do I want to build out this camper van, because I haven't started yet. And I have to really make sure I want to get clear on that and what I want to do with the bed and those kind of things. So I purposely stayed close to the city. I want to buy a house, which is on a different island, 2.5, 3 hours away. Kind of depends if I take the ferry or not. So I drove there last night, and I, was on my way back. I'm 1 hour away from Tromsø, where I still live. But yeah, I just broke down, so I don't know what's going to happen. I really hope that it's going to be an easy fix. I hope it's going to be one of those where the mechanic shows up and he checks a few things, and it's like, hey, okay, that's what it is. Boom. Okay, on your way, right? But you never know. You really never know. But automatically you get those thoughts. I'm sharing this with you. I just wanted to be just completely transparent. The thoughts that went through my mind, because I think, first of all, being calm and kind of speaking about it is also a way to work through it. So I'm also showing you in the actual moment, right, how you can work through situations by staying calm, kind of going through it, right, but also acknowledging the thoughts, the feelings, but then leaving it there. It does not have to become a thing. It does not have to take over. It does not have to mean that everything is doomed. If we allow ourselves to respond like that, we allow those emotions to take over. And that is something we can prevent from happening. But it's not something that you learn by listening to one podcast about mindset, or even 10 or 100. It's something that you're going to have to work through based off of the experiences you struggle with, the things that happen to you, the moments when you are tested, your character is tested, when shit happens to you, right? That is when you learn how to deal with those situations. So that's a process. And you're very likely to have to mess up a few times until you maybe respond the right way. And I can share with you the way I would normally respond to these kind of things. I would be, pissed off, angry, right? I think angry is the best word for it. And we all have our demons, you know what I mean? We all have the things that we don't like about ourselves that we try to improve. And as a human, that's okay. A big one for me would be kind of freaking out in these kind of situations, But like I just shared with you, the initial thoughts, feelings, etc., they're going to be there, but you can acknowledge them and just leave them be, right? I thought, how can this happen to me? A couple days in, it's my first road trip. I'm excited. I just went to look for the house, or at the house. And I'm like trying to, picture what I want to do with the van. And I was actually going to go and get some wood tomorrow to start building the bed. So it's a mix, right? I feel bummed out, kind of sad in a way. Just because I've been so excited about having this van the last couple of days, and I've been watching videos on how to build them out, like the van life videos on YouTube, getting some inspiration. And of course, I've been working from the van the last couple of days, going around the coast, staying on some really nice places by the water, and going from that to now breaking down, literally less than a week later, 4 days. It sucks, of course. So there's anger, there's a bit of sadness, I guess. There's, right, frustration. I was supposed to be home now, I'm supposed to go and, just feed the cats, take a shower, right? Because I'm watching the cats this week. Yet here we are sitting in the parking lot of the Shell. Shout out to Shell Balsfjord. And we're going to be here for a little bit. And I literally just wanted to hit record and start talking to you, to be honest with you. Because it does relate to stuff that you're going to run into. How will you respond? And what will you do to learn how to deal with this situations that will come up and the thoughts and feelings that you know? Because here's the thing. I want you to listen to this stuff and think, like, what kind of things do I struggle with that I tend to fall into? Because that's where it's hard. As much as in a podcast format we can have conversations, we can, right? It's a longer kind of thing, a longer form of content. We can kind of unpack certain things, but there's not one right answer. I talked to a client yesterday, and she said, right, hey, I'm going to work on having a more positive mindset. Okay, that could really mean anything, you know what I mean? So we broke it down further, and I asked her, hey, could you expand a little bit more? Like what exactly will you do to work on that positive mindset? So for you, related to this, is there something that you catch yourself responding to in a way that's inconducive to your health, your well-being, your long-term goals? Right? And this could be anything. Overeating in certain situations. Let's call it stress eating. Punishing yourself by doing extra cardio because you overate once. Right? Kind of really just fully giving up because you had one bigger meal. So you allow yourself to spiral into just going, oh, fuck it, you know? One bigger meal, you know what? Fuck the whole week. That's not how we get, to your goal. And I'm saying it in a half joking way, but I am very serious here because it's so silly to put it that way, but that's exactly how so many people respond, you see. Can we find the trigger, first of all, in those situations? Like, what is the thing that makes you feel that way? But then can we also acknowledge that? And then can we try to find something we can do in that very moment so that we have a plan in place where hey, this thing tends to piss me off or whatever it may be. Okay, I now know that usually I get these feelings and that when I feel like this, I respond this way. But here's the thing, your thoughts, your feelings, your actions, right, are not the same thing. Your actions are still separate from what's going on in your mind. And I'm not saying that this is easy because, again, it's a process that it's going to, over time, maybe work out. But that's only through taking consistent action. And that is something you can always do. As much as it's hard to master your mindset, right? It takes self-reflection, just getting super honest with yourself, but actually also making a point of like being honest and open with yourself by maybe journaling, meditating, even just going on a walk, just think about stuff, sit with your own thoughts. Try not to just, right, distract yourself with music and podcasts all the time. And I'm saying this because that is what I used to always do. I would always have music and always podcasts, always something coming in, without allowing myself to work through certain things, the noise that was going on in my head. And that's when you create more stillness, you can allow yourself to work through things, you see. But are you aware of the certain situations that maybe make you feel a certain way, and how do you respond? Like, what do you do? Like, what's your action? And a lot of times this can be, right, a more like emotional, like in the moment decision. Can we create a plan? This could be called an if-then plan. Really just thinking, okay, this is a trigger. I am now going to write this down. I actually want you to write this down on pen and paper, because I think the action of you writing it down on paper, like physically, right, from your thoughts onto that paper, through that pen, and writing out, hey, if this happens, then I will do X. If then plan. When you do that, you allow yourself to at least create some awareness around the thing that you know usually triggers something. Now we can come up with a backup plan to where, hey, like maybe we're going to avoid ourselves from doing that, right? And maybe this time we're going to respond differently. We're going to respond by being more in control. Acknowledging the initial feeling, but what is the second? Like, how do you respond? What do you do with the feeling? A bigger one too, which is completely different. I forgot who told me this. I really wish, because I would love to give them credit. But someone told me this. When I was getting into public speaking, when I started to go to the first gyms, even just stepping into those gyms and actually being like, yo, hey, like, I would love to do a nutrition talk for your members, right? I would love to speak to nutrition, fat loss, whatever mindset. Are you open to having a chat about that? Even just me stepping into those gyms, that was a big one for me already. But I noticed in the beginning how nervous I felt, how anxious I felt, how stressed I almost felt, like before those presentations. And again, I forgot who said this, but they said, that feeling is going to be there, but you get to decide how you want to reframe that, because it's not anxiety, you're just excited. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, that's how I can use it too. I can use that feeling that is slightly uncomfortable, but I can use it as fuel, and I put it to good use. In this case, right, in this example, public speaking, presenting. Another thing is too, in that scenario, you also know, like, if you prepare, you're good, right? You don't have to, like, be nervous if you fully prepare. So that's maybe another thing that might even layer into what we've talked about so far today. If you are constantly running into a specific roadblock, what are you doing to prepare yourself to deal with that better next time? Do you even? Because I very much would love to know if you actually make a point of saying, hey, I fucked up. What do I learn? Because the failures are going to be there. That's okay. It's part of the deal, right? Welcome to life. The failures are going to be there. But what do you choose to do with that? Do you choose to learn from them? Which again is not an easy experience. And I'm also not here to just say, hey, do this, right? You're just supposed to, like, no. This is coming from a place of understanding and love and going through these kind of things myself too. But we all have different things that we got to work through, right? But when you fail, when you catch yourself, when I catch myself overreacting to a certain situation, once you cool down, you're going to find that, right? That feeling of, oh shit, I kind of overreacted, right? That was kind of unnecessary. Well, I overate for one meal, and now I allowed that to become the next day, and then the whole weekend, and then I told myself that I would try again on Monday, but then on Monday I kind of just fucked up again because I didn't prepare, I didn't learn, you see, and the spiral continues. So I know I'm kind of going in two different directions here, and I had no preparations for this podcast. I just wanted to vent, to be honest with you, but I wanted to kind of leave you with a bit of a lesson, because the initial thoughts and feelings are going to be there, but you do not have to respond. You do not have to allow those to take over. You can work on that. You should work on it if you want to grow. But you also need to understand that creating self-awareness, right, around those kind of things, as uncomfortable as it is something that just needs to be done. And we need to talk about this stuff more, because it's not happening enough, I think. You see? Because in the health and fitness space, like, you tend to be, you know, what do you hear? Macros, calories, meal plans, fat burning workouts. Very little actual, like, mindset and self-development talk that's actually helpful. Doesn't go much further than the typical, well, you just need more willpower, or, you know. I even see coaches do this too. It's like, well, they just don't want it enough. Well, I'm sure they really want it. But are you actually teaching them the mindset stuff that we need to work through in order to learn from our own flaws and demons, deal with the situations, and also see failures for what they are? They're just a lesson. A lesson so that next time we can do better. So let me go in and grab a coffee, which is not something I usually do in the evening, but I have this slight idea that, this might be a long evening tonight. It's about to be my bedtime. So also there, right? Your plans, they will change at some point. I had a completely different, evening in mind. But I don't get to choose today. So I just need to see what happens. Gotta wait for another 20, 30 minutes maybe. And I'll update you if you, right? In the next episode, you'll know if the van actually broke down or if I get to continue my camper van fantasy, because I was like ready to start building, because I now have a picture in my mind. I think it's going to be really cool, to be honest with you. So thank you for letting me vent. Thank you for listening. It's kind of funny to do a podcast, to just speak into this little tiny microphone and just look at my camera and sit it by myself. It's good though. I think we need to do that, and of course, it doesn't have to be in a podcast setting, but just talking through shit. If you have a coach, speak to them, right? Share stuff. If you are coaching with us, of course, you know this, but I want to bring this up. Share stuff with your coach, right? That is what we are here for. Coaching should not be just macro updates, and that's what calculators are for. Like, you don't need a human calculator. You need a human to have a human connection with, who can push you, who can also tell you to slow down every now and then, who can support you, give you tough love when it's necessary, but who most importantly can help you work through these kind of different situations. And hey, even if it's just by yourself, right? You're maybe not working with a coach, that's also cool. But then still make a point of having conversations around the uncomfortable things that you would much rather push away. And we usually do that through the mindset work, right? It could literally be a walk in the forest, or even just a walk in general. It could be journaling, meditating. And those are all things that luckily more and more people are open to these days. But it's still very, very few compared to the amount of people who would benefit off of that. So as I just said, thank you for allowing me to vent. Thank you for allowing me to kind of cool down. And to be honest with you, because I felt very angry when I started recording, by now, simply by just talking about stuff, I'm kind of like, okay, it still sucks, don't get me wrong, but hey, it is what it is. Like, we'll see what happens. There's literally nothing I can do right now. The situation is outside of my control. What's within my control is how I respond, and today I do that by staying calm. I'll talk to you in the next episode.